everybody. Welcome to today's edition of the CrossFit Games Update Show. I'm Sean Woodland with Tommy Marquez. We're going to take a look back at an exciting weekend in the Masters Online Qualifier. We will break down the different age groups as we get closer to the games, but today we want to take a look back at each event and take a look at some numbers that, to me, on the men's side, were downright astonishing.
Astonishing, and for me personally, a little depressing because I did a lot of these workouts, and even looking at my times compared to them, kind of maybe a little downtrodden, but it also gave me hope as a 30-year-old man for the future and what fitness holds for me.
We'll go event by event. We'll start with event one, which is the 21-15-9 of the calorie row and the thrusters. Now, I did this one, tried it. I moved through the whole thing and thought I had a pretty good time, and then I looked at what some of these athletes did and was downright just disheartened because these guys crushed it. When you look at the 4-minute mark and how many athletes went sub 4 minutes, we looked at every division on this one. 57 alone in the 40 to 44-year-old division went sub 4, 20 in the 45 to 49. That was a time that I thought if we saw a handful of people hit, it would have been incredible.
Yeah, and I'm going to even take that a step further and go below 4 minutes, around 3:45. So I went and took a crunch at some of the numbers. I took the best score from 15.5 last year for the Masters, which was 6:11. And we're basically taking the 27 round off of that for this year. 27 round represents 38% of the workout. So if you take 38% off of 6:11, you get 350. I even knocked another 5 seconds off for the 3:45 number because you assume some compounding fatigue and stuff like that. And I thought maybe a handful of guys, but we had 36 male athletes beat that time, including the guy who set the 6:11 time last year, Jeffrey Prejean. That's just phenomenal.
A lot of athletes, especially in the 40 to 44-year-old division, hit that, but there was one in one of the older divisions I know who really impressed you on this workout.
Yeah, Ron Ortiz, or Strong Ortiz as some people call him. He's in the 50 to 54 division. He's new to it this year. This is the oldest division to do the workout without any modifications. They did the full RX weight for the thrusters. His time of 3:37 would have put him second in the division below him, the 45 to 49. And then if you go 2 divisions below him, it would have placed him 13th in that. So he's still in the top 22 divisions below. That type of performance just transcends his age division.
Let's go to event 2, and this is, I think, where we saw some numbers that were just downright incredible. This was the 1-rep max deadlift, and if you recall, going into the online qualifier, we talked up here about what we thought we would see and got kind of close, but there were some people who just totally blew our predictions right out of the water. Here are the numbers when it comes to the 400, 500, and then the 600-pound club. 423 masters on the men's side lifted 400 or more pounds. 71 lifted 500 or more. And then one guy, more on this in a second, hit a 600-pound deadlift. And had I not seen that, I would not have believed it.
Me neither, because the last time we actually universally tested the deadlift in terms of a max effort was back in 2009 when we had the deadlift ladder as the second workout of the games. The top bar for the men was 505 pounds, and 16 athletes were able to get to that bar and clear the ladder. This year, using 505 again as the benchmark, we had 64 Masters athletes clear that. We're talking about a comparison in 2009 where we had the best of the best, and now 64 Masters athletes are blowing that out of the water, including guys like Rob Orlando, who competed back in 2009 and competing again this year in the Masters qualifier. He lifted 557. So we're just seeing leaps and bounds improvements even in something like a 1-rep max dead.
So Chuck Smith is a guy who's in that 600-pound club, and you would think that that number would come from the 40 to 44-year-old division, but it didn't.
In the 50 to 54 division, a 600-pound deadlift. I did not think I would see that. I'll admit, I'm going to, eat crow here because I didn't think it would happen. We got tagged in that lift over the weekend. He didn't just lift it, he smoked it. He stepped up to the bar with a purpose. He moved that bar without any hitch and celebrated accordingly on the back end. That's more than his son Ben's posted 1-rep max deadlift. And that division in particular is good because they had more 500-pound deadlifters in this workout than the division below them. So there's something about that age division where they can move some weight.
Well, speaking of 500-pound deadlifts, we had one come from the 60-plus division, courtesy of one Bob Caslin. The guy lifted 500 pounds at 61 years old.
That's ridiculous. You're talking about a guy who can almost collect Social Security. Lifting a quarter of a ton off the ground. That's unheard of today in the health and fitness realm.
Yeah, well, let's move on to event 3, and this is the one that featured the double unders, the chest to bar pull-ups, and then the hang power cleans. And what we saw when we looked at these scores is that whoever won it had a huge margin of victory over the second place finishers. So it would the 40 to 44-year-old division, Jarrett Perlmutter, had a 70 rep margin of victory. The biggest margin of victory was courtesy of Andrew McMahon, who had a 92 rep margin of victory. So the key here was, if you could get back to the jump rope, you could really put some distance between yourself and the guy behind you.
Yeah, finishing a round was crucial because once you get back to the double unders, you only need about 30 seconds to pile up another 55 reps or so on these double unders. So it kind of explains why we saw such a big gap even at the very top. But for a guy like Andrew McMahon, he didn't need it. He beat the next competitor by more than a round. And you look at the totality of what he did in this workout. At 45 plus years old, in a 15-minute window, he did over 150 chest to bar pull-ups, over 500 double unders. I hope he did this workout last, because if I did it and I got that much, I wouldn't be able to hold my arms up for a week.
All right, finally to event 4, and this is where we actually have something to compare it to from the past. If you remember in 2011, 11.4 was 60 bar facing burpees, 30 overhead squats, and then 10 muscle ups, and you had a 10-minute window to get all that done. Back in 2011, we had 14 total Masters athletes get through that whole workout inside of 10 minutes. So this year, event 4, Masters Online qualifier, 55 bar facing burpees, so we dropped that number a little bit, 34 overhead squats, and then we doubled the muscle ups and gave you 21 of those. And look how many Masters athletes finished that inside of 10 minutes. 78 alone in the 40 to 44-year-old division, 23 in 45 to 49, and then 6 in the 50 to 54-year-old division.
Just those numbers alone, by comparison, apples to apples, is impressive. But I think it gets even more, so you kind of crank it up a notch. When you look this year, this version of the workout this year for the Masters qualifier is actually harder than the other. I've done both in the last month, and I can testify that those last 11 muscle ups we added this year just cranks up the interference from the burpees and the overhead squats on your shoulders and how much it's going to take to get through a full round. Most people can get through 10 muscle ups, 1-2 sets, but then you have another 11 staring at you in the face. That just makes it that much harder and makes what these guys achieved in this workout that much more impressive.
And we talk about that 10-minute mark, which is incredible. There were some athletes who flirted with 7 minutes on this one.
One in particular that I don't know how he did it, Bill Grunler. I'm gonna give him some credit where credit's due. 7:16 in this workout. He was 32 seconds ahead of second place. Back in 2011, Bill, did the open workout. He got a full round in the 10-minute time cap, plus 51 burpees. If you kind of talk about pacing, that puts him at about the same split for this workout, but this workout's harder. Yeah. When I did this workout yesterday after his score was posted, I looked up at 7:16 and I still had some overhead squats. I just had to kind of duck my head and give Bill the old tip of the cap, because that was a great score.
Yeah, congratulations to all the Masters who made it to this point and participated in the online qualifier. Congratulations to those of you who are moving on to the CrossFit Games. Again, we will break down all the age groups and talk about the key matchups there as we get closer to the games. That's going to do it for us for today. For Tommy Marquez, I'm Sean Woodland. Back tomorrow to talk about the women's side of the Masters online qualifier.